I reiterate our desire for more African nations to apply concrete diplomatic and economic pressure on North Korea.
Well, as the U.S. stepped up sanctions on North Korea aimed at ending its nuclear program, the East African nation of Uganda agreed to end 50 years of military cooperation with Pyongyang. But that cooperation may be continuing. In violation of sanctions, the two nations are suspected of maintaining their ties with North Korean soldiers training Ugandan government forces. And Uganda might not be alone. Also suspected of violating sanctions are Tanzania, Sudan, Zambia, and Mozambique. Well, to discuss this further, I'm joined now from Kampala, Uganda, by journalist Dickens Okello, and from Dallas, Texas, political commentator and journalist Joshua Poro. Thanks both so much for joining us. Before we actually get into this discussion, I'd like to just first establish that you both agree North Korea is working with and in Uganda, but you disagree on whether it's actually beneficial to do so. So, Dickens, let me start with you. Why does Uganda actually choose to work with North Korea in the first place?
Well, the revelations from the press or Wall Street Journal wasn't a surprising thing to me. North Korea is stated in 5 countries in Africa. But anyway, that's just Africa. But if you also look at other nations, it's happening. Though the Ugandan authority, this one, the defense spokesperson of Uganda, he unequivocally denied it. But to me, it wasn't a surprise, because as we are talking now, there are about there are 25 embassies, in Pyongyang. We also have countries with having diplomatic ties with Pyongyang. There are about 120 something, Uganda inclusive, as per se. So it's not a surprise to me that it shouldn't have happened. No,
it's not a surprise. But why does Uganda choose to work with North Korea? Why is it having specifically North Korean soldiers come to train its troops?
Well, officially it has been denied, but the way I look at it through the backdoor sources that talk to Wall Street Journal, well, in any cooperation or in any agreement, number one thing is always the cost of something. So if what North Korea is offering to Kampala is cheaper as compared to other what comes from other nations, and also if it's free of conditions like democracy, like these other affairs, it makes it flexible, or it makes it easier for a country in sub-Saharan Africa to get in touch with Pyongyang to get those trainings. Because, well, there is a UN embargo, all right, but still, there are always many things within there. Just last week, the United Nations released a report of Uganda supporting South Sudan, taking arms and doing here and there. So I believe some of these things happen.
Joshua, I can see you laughing. Go ahead.
No, you see, that guy is my brother, and we always disagree on issues like this. Let me just take us a little bit back. Uganda's relationship with North Korea started way back in the 1970s when President Idi Amin at the time had an agreement with Pyongyang to supply, of course, his troops with weapons and also provide training. That was against the Tanzanian forces and President Museveni at the time. But also President Museveni himself, after getting into power in 1986, he traveled to Pyongyang in 1987 to meet then Kim Il-sung. And if you notice recently, he was actually awarded, in 2014, he was awarded the highest prize in North Korea, but of course he rejected it to avoid controversy. Now, the reason why I do believe Uganda is still maintaining ties with with North Korea is the corruption benefits that come with it. Look at it in this scenario. There is a UN embargo on North Korea. They are barred from dealing with countries. So Uganda itself actually did announce that they were cutting all ties with North Korea. However, the most amazing thing is they cut it at the top. At the bottom, no, they did not cut the ties with North Korea. So what does that mean? This means that Uganda at the low end continues to deal with North Korea. The monies that are used to buy weapons from North Korea are not even budgeted for. We don't know how much they spend. The money that is being spent to buy weapons from North Korea actually comes from our military budget that we don't even know how much it costs. Look at the 2016 election, for example. We had new police equipment coming in from Mombasa. We had pictures all over social media that was showing these shipments coming to Uganda. All policemen got new guns, AK-47s and the like. So definitely North Korea is providing cheap artillery for the Ugandan community. But this is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
If Uganda is a signatory to the UN Charter, why can't you respect it? This is what we refer to as the rule of law and or democracy. So if somebody chooses to sign and be a part of a charter, but not respect it, then I don't think that person is the right leader. I do believe that Uganda probably might need military training or might need equipment. Why can't we do it the right way?
Okay, Joshua, just to be clear, I mean, the lack of conditions that Dickens was actually praising from North Korea, you say those really serve to foster corruption in Uganda.
Yes, absolutely. Can you imagine what would happen if a country didn't have a constitution? Can you imagine what would happen if your organization did not have the rules and regulations that govern that office? There would be a whole lot of a mess, and that's exactly what's happening right now between Uganda and North Korea. There are no conditions attached to whatever it is that we are doing, and the world is fighting against the nuclear power, and they want North Korea definitely to stop working with nuclear weapons. So I do believe that this is not the right thing to do. Uganda needs military training. Uganda needs assistance. But we are not warmongers. You see, we have soldiers everywhere in the South Sudan. We have soldiers in Central African Republic. When the war in South Sudan started, Uganda sent troops first and later came back to seek the approval of parliament. We have so many things that are happening in Uganda with disregard for the rule of law. So I think this is just a move to foster corruption in different aspects of our military. So yes, they're having training. Just if you look at some of the manuals that are being used to train them by the North Korea, we are looking at close combat and we're looking at crowd management. So my question is, why are we focusing on that? Which crowd are you planning to manage? Close combat with who? Who are you going to fight? I do believe that this is a ploy by President Museveni to still for himself in power, just take a hold of power. He has already taken it. He's now just reinforcing his foundation so that tomorrow when Uganda decide to riot, boom.
Okay, Dickens. Let me ask you, I mean, we understand there's a history there, there's a relationship, perhaps a sense of loyalty. If I'm not mistaken, Yoweri Museveni actually said he learned basic Korean from Kim Il-sung himself. But that said, how is this relationship actually benefiting ordinary Ugandans today?
Well, what the ordinary Ugandan need is protection. Security. The ultimate thing is the security. Now, if they are giving the good training, now we don't know what kind of, we can't quantify it as per se, but Uganda is a country that has been in existence for more than 50 years, since 1962. At least we always have each and every plan that these are our defense arrangement. These are the people we need in place. These are the sorts of training we need in place. Somebody did not just dream at night or just wake up in the morning and say, here, and boom, we're going to bring this to train us. No. Things were done, things were planned. And much of these things, they don't just come out of the blue. Much of these things are brought to Parliament, are taken to Parliament, debated in Parliament, and decided in Parliament. Even the money itself used to pay them, or the money used to buy whatever to buy whatever equipment, is always passed from Parliament, debated, discussed, and everybody agree. Parliament where there is opposition and there is ruling party. So I don't think the ordinary Ugandans are not going to benefit if at all they are training. They are not training these guys to go and... Uganda doesn't have a mafia group that go loot this there and there. No, we have a national army taking care of the interests of the security and defense interests of the whole nation.
Okay.
So that's how it's gonna benefit us if it's happening.
Joshua laughing again. Go ahead.
Dickens has put it very clearly. Uganda does not have a mafia group. My question is, why do we need this training? It's not necessary for us to have this kind of military training because we don't have a mafia group we are planning to go and encounter. Now, the money that Dickens is saying is used for paying these people is approved by Parliament. That's part of a military classified budget. I do not think the Parliament of Uganda would at any one point, much as it is a majority of the National Resistance Movement, which is the current ruling party, I do not think and all believe that we would at any one point pass a budget for the training of Ugandan soldiers by North Korea, and yet this has been banned by the United Nations. And Uganda did announce actually that we would be cutting ties with the North Okay, so we had former South Korean president who came to Uganda in 2016. They actually had an agreement to start working together. President Museveni announced to cut ties with North Korea and start working with the South, but that didn't work out so well, I guess, because even in our hospitals, we have the North Koreans. In military, we have the North Koreans. In the police, we have the North Koreans. I don't believe that this is necessary at any one bit.
Joshua Photo, we're going to have to leave it there. I'd like to thank you and Dick.